Busy day.
Kinda, yeah.
Lots of houses.
Not today. But in the works. In the works. Yeah, pen. Can I borrow that? Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Pena, Commissioner Pena is on.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bummer. It did.
Yeah. They had what happen though? A sewer backup? Yeah, one of their rental city sewer backup. One claim process with technically Saturday. Yeah. You said you guys are really good. Are they on one of those like daisy chain lines? No.
This is the East 9th house? Or the,
Talk to you about it?
no, the East 11th house. Got it. Got it. Okay, got it. Okay. There you go. Thanks, sir.
Test.
When I saw you at Freebridge that one time last week,
28.
did you start distributing for someone else too?
15 mile.
That's right, dude. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Just,
pretty good.
did you just move that clock forward?
I'll ask them.
Okay. I'm just saying I'm ready to go. So I'm trying to recording pause. I'm trying to get this wrapped up in an hour so I can get to hockey at Hood River by 7. So yeah. Okay, so okay. All right.
You're in the hockey?
Hockey, dude. Yeah, it's awesome. All right. Welcome, everyone. We'll get started, please. Planning Commission meeting, February 6th, 2025, 5:30 p.m. I call this meeting to order. Paula, may we please have the roll call?
Patty Case is absent. Cody Cornett,
Here.
Grant.
Here.
Here. Can you hear me? Yes, thank you. Mark Popoff,
Here.
Nick Portella is absent.
Excellent. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is the approval of the agenda. If all commissioners have had a chance to review the agenda, may I please have a motion to approve and a second?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion has been made to approve the agenda along with a second. All in favor of approving the agenda, raise your right hand, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Next is the election of officers. How do, president and vice, or chair and vice chair, which one goes first?
Typically, I think the chair goes first. I think it can go either way, actually.
Okay, election of chair, I happily nominate myself. That's fine. Do we have any other nominations?
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. A nomination has been made and seconded. All in favor, excuse me, let's have a motion to vote on the nominee.
I'll make a motion to vote on the nominee.
A second.
Motion was made to vote on the nominee, Cody Cornett, to continue as chair. All in favor of Cody Cornett continuing as chair, raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Next is vice chair. You're welcome to nominate yourself. If you think of someone would be great, you can nominate them. It must be someone. It can no longer, are you, no, Nick's vice chair.
Correct.
It can't be Nick because he's not here. Carrie, would you care to be vice chair? It's very easy.
Sure.
Okay. In that case, sorry. I nominate Carrie Pipinich to be vice chair. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Excellent. All in favor, I make a motion to vote on the nominee for vice chair. May I have a second to the motion to vote?
I'll
Second.
second.
Excellent. Motion to vote has been made and seconded. All in favor of nominating Carrie Pipinich, vice chair, raise your right hand, say aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, Carrie.
Carrie, did you vote or, yeah?
Yeah, aye.
Very good voting for yourself. Move. Okay, next is the approval of the minutes. The October 3rd meeting, which I believe everyone was here, October 3rd, 2024. If all commissioners have been able to review those minutes, may I please have a motion to approve with a second?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second. All
I'll
right.
second.
Excellent. It's been motioned to approve the minutes from the October 3rd meeting, 2024. All in favor of approving those minutes, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, excellent. Same thing for December 5th. May I please have a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from December 5th.
I'll second.
Motion is made to approve those minutes and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Aye. All right, we're zooming through this. Now is the time for public comment. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject matter that does not later appear on the agenda. 5 minutes per person will be allowed. I see one person on the screen that may chime in soon. If not, we will move on from the public comment. No movement there. We're moving on from public comment. Next is the quasi-judicial public hearing. This is conditional use permit 213-25, City of the Dalles. The applicant is requesting approval to demolish 2 structures and construct 1 structure of 4,800 square feet. The new structure will consolidate the city's maintenance division operations and provide storage for the Dalles Wasco County Library and Friends of the Dalles Library Book Barn. This project is a government public facility and will require a community facilities overlay. So as we get into this, pardon me while I read a bit of this script regarding this conditional use permit. Now is the time specified for the commission to conduct a quasi-judicial public hearing to consider the following matter. Conditional use permit number 213-25, an application for a conditional use permit to demolish 2 structures, 320 square feet and 480 square feet, and construct 1 4,000 square foot structure to consolidate the city's maintenance division operations to provide storage for the Dalles Wasco County Library and Friends of the Dalles Library Book Barn. This project is a government public facility and will require a community facilities overlay. This hearing requires the commission to make its decision based exclusively on the applicable criteria, the evidence in the record, and specific findings. The substantive criteria upon which the commission will base its decision in this matter are found in the staff report. Anyone who wishes to testify must be recognized by me, the chair, before testifying. When I recognize you, please proceed to the microphone and state your name and mailing address for the record. The hearing is also required to be recorded. Generally, the public hearing procedure will go as follows. We will begin the staff report and any questions the commission may have for the staff. Next, I will ask for testimony from the proponents of the application, those in favor of granting the permit. Then I will ask for testimony from the opponents of the application, those who are against granting the permit. Finally, I will ask for testimony from anyone else who wishes to offer relevant testimony or ask relevant questions. After all other testimony, the applicant may have an opportunity for final rebuttal. To expedite the hearing, commissioners may ask questions of persons as they testify. When this process has been concluded, I will close the public testimony and the commission will deliberate towards a decision. During the hearing, some important standards apply. First, if you testify, please address your testimony to the applicable substantive criteria or other criteria which the person believes applies to the decision, the comprehensive plan, or the Dalles Municipal Code Title 10. Second, failure to raise an issue with enough detail to allow the commissioners and the parties an opportunity to respond to that issue prohibits an appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Third, failure to participate in this public hearing, either orally or in writing, precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals. Fourth, prior to concluding the hearing, anyone may ask that the record be held open for additional evidence or arguments. If such a request is made, the commission will either A, continue the hearing to a time and date at least 7 days in the future, or B, hold the record open for at least 7 days. Finally, the commission's final decision must include findings of fact demonstrating the applicable standards that are met, fact demonstrating the applicable standards are met. These are the rules. Are there any questions? Okay. Do any of the members of the commission need to declare any ex parte contacts, conflicts of interest, or bias?
No.
I do not either.
Nope.
No's all around. The public hearing is now open. May we please have the staff report?
Yeah, good evening, Chair Cornett, Commissioners, Joshua Chandler, Community Development Department. 1 second here as I share my screen and get this presentation up for you. All right, so as mentioned, this application is conditional use permit number 213-25. The applicant is the City of the Dalles. The property is owned by the City of the Dalles. Address is 722 Court Street. We're all familiar with the Dalles Wasco County Library. This project here is specifically located in that upper parking lot. So the zoning district is a high density residential, and there is already an overlay on it, which is a neighborhood center overlay. I'll touch on a little bit more on that as we go forward here. As we mentioned, the request here is to demolish 2 structures. There's 2 existing structures up there. The city's maintenance division has one of them. The library has another, and both of them are bursting at the seams. So really, this project is just the ability to kind of expand current operations for not only the city's maintenance division, Wasco County Library, as well as the Friends of the Dalles Library Book Barn. So with this project, it's a government public facility, which means it's something that has to be approved through a conditional use permit. Once that public facility is established, through an approved conditional use permit, there's a layer, like basically a mapping layer that goes on top of it called a community facilities overlay. And really what this does is part of this process is going to be establishing this not only for the proposed use here, but the fact that the library is actually located, the library is basically an existing non-conforming use at this point. It's located in a zone. Neighborhood center doesn't allow for libraries, so a community facility does. So not only is this a requirement here to build this structure, but also it's going to be kind of cleaning up the property, bringing the property into conformity. So this is the location, as I was chatting with you about. We all know where the library is located. This is basically roughly the property boundaries of the library. And then the dashed line there, those are the dashed box in there. That's the area where we're going to be. The city's proposing to construct this new building. This is a layout for you. Hopefully it's clear enough to get the general idea here. Really the biggest change is the structure itself that's being erected here, the 4,800 square foot structure. In addition, there's going to be some site improvements that we'll touch on here in a little bit. And this is a basic rendering of the building itself. It's ultimately a fabricated steel structure building. And there are a few site elements that are included in your staff report. So the review criteria that we touch on with conditional use permits, I touched on one a little bit. The first is really addressing whether or not it's an approved use or it's an allowed, it's an approved conditional use of a site. And this is, as I touched on, it's a government public facility. So that is a use that is allowed in the zone. But really the major points that you touch on when we review a conditional use permit is the review criteria and really the impact that that use can have. So in looking at it, this is the review criteria in front of you. I'm going to touch on the first being the criterion is met. As you can see in the staff report, 1, 3, 4, and 5 criteria. Staff finds that this criterion is met. Ultimately, the noise impacts across the property line. This is, measuring the impacts from this proposed use. Ultimately, it's a maintenance shop. There will be some work done inside, incidental uses here and there. A lot of it is storage. Next, looking at dust and other particulate matter, making sure it's confined to the subject property. As I mentioned previously, most of the work will be conducted inside, incidental dust here and there. The following odors shall be completely confined. I've cut those off with this just for, to shorten up this slide here, but we talk about different chemicals that are hazardous chemicals that are going to be used on site. As I mentioned, this is just the city's maintenance facility. So some of, incidental chemicals are used here and there, paints, but nothing hazardous by any means. Vibration shall be felt across the property line. This is also something, we're talking an incidental shop for storage. So this isn't something that should create too much vibration across the property line. And then the transportation system is capable or can be made capable of supporting the additional transportation impacts. We're looking at a very low transportation impact from this. Currently, that site is already used. The upper lot is already used by our team. We're already locating equipment up there. This isn't increasing the amount of FTE that the city will have in the maintenance division. So we're looking at a very, very small impact as a result of constructing this building. The lighting impacts, this is one criterion here that is met with conditions. Ultimately, the condition here is, making sure that the lighting impacts across the property line shall not exceed 0.5 foot candles. Effectively, what this is making sure that a proposed use is not impacting neighboring properties or rights of way. So one of the conditions here is that making sure that the lighting up there is shielded downward and meets the foot candle requirements to ensure it's not exceeding onto neighboring property lines, over the neighboring property line. And then the last is a criterion that's not applicable. This is not in a historic district, so this is not applicable to the proposed use. So some of those site improvements that I talked about, I think that was the most of the review that we looked at, staff looked at when we were going through this. If you've been up there, so ultimately what we're doing with this site is not only it's a new structure on the upper lot, they are still the same property. So if you're proposing something on a site, you're bringing that whole property into compliance. So what we looked at initially was parking, making sure that the whole building, the library, as well as this new building was going to have sufficient amount of parking, because there is some parking that is being removed. There's about 6 spaces being removed right in front of the building. This is to allow vehicular access in and out of the building. Even by removing those 6, it still provides sufficient amount of parking for not only the library, but the new building itself. In adding or in addressing parking, we came across the fact that right now the library only has 1 ADA parking space. It needs to have 3 due to the number of parking spaces that are up there. So 2 new ADA parking spaces will be striped at the front, towards the front of the library. 2 new drive approaches. So the 2 drive approaches right in, I can share it here. This area here, as you can see, there's existing drive approaches there. But with the development of this site, there'll be brand new drive approaches installed. The whole entire parking lot on the upper lot will be resurfaced and restriped. It's pretty broken up over the years, multiple years of crack sealing and this and that. So it's going to be an upgrade to that surface. There's some re-landscaping. There's not the addition of new landscaping because there's enough landscaping on the site, but there's some areas that are kind of dying or kind of on their way out. So this will be kind of just really, to summarize all of it, you're looking at kind of a freshen up to this upper parking lot. A new oil water separator is being installed to control the runoff from the new building. And then there's going to be a few new bike racks that are actually installed at the library itself to make sure it's in compliance with the number of bike spaces that need to be provided. And with that, staff's recommendation would be for the Planning Commission move to adopt Resolution PC 625-25, which is approving CUP 213-25 with the proposed conditions of approval included in the staff report based upon the findings of fact and conclusions of law set forth in the agenda staff report. I think that was a little repetitive there, but in any case, staff's recommendation is approval of CUP. And with that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Just out of curiosity, what is the, how much is going to be the cost for this project?
I think that would be a great question for our applicants. I guess I'm part of the city too. So the city manager as well as our maintenance supervisor is here. I think they would probably have an opportunity to speak to them on that. I haven't been involved with the cost side of things.
Okay.
But if there's any more questions for me, I'd be happy to take them. Otherwise, we can get them up here to answer some of those questions you have.
Sure, I have a quick, I think this would be for the city. In regards to
We're
the,
all kind of the city.
well, right,
Yeah.
the planning department part of the city, the Josh part of the city. The lighting that's there now, I know that when that new building comes in, the lighting will be made to fit the current code, correct?
Yeah.
'Cause I don't know because I haven't been there at night lately, but like that's probably just a big floodlight back there, right?
Yeah, over
Or-
by the I think, Mike could probably speak to that too. I think that probably the line that's back there will have to be moved.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think there is one. We had some security issues back there. There's some camping that was going on, so there was some lighting that was put in, but all of the lights that are being put in will be motion censored lights,
Okay.
mostly around the entryways. But I think one of the lights does have to be moved slightly because it's currently in the building footprint.
Okay, got it. Yeah, just making sure that it's conformed to that and shining down, not out, all that stuff. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'd like to make a suggestion that instead of steel siding, they use, some sort of residential siding like fiber cement siding, which at the present cost of steel might actually save them a little money. Now it's in a residential area, so it seems like the siding and trim should conform with our existing design codes for residential structures.
Yeah, so I mean it's a great suggestion for the team that's running this. When it does come to design standards, we do touch on some of the design standards. It's even though it isn't a residential district, the residential district specifically is referencing dwellings. So when it comes to this, there's a little bit of a carve out of not necessarily needing to follow residential standards, but that is a suggestion you can mention to the development team on this.
Okay, if that concludes the staff report, let's please hear from the applicants.
So my name is Matthew Cleaves. I'm the city manager, City of the Dalles, and with me is Mike Casinger, who is our facility supervisor. We don't have a full presentation for you this evening of any sort, but we're happy to answer any questions you may have. And we've had a couple that we can speak to immediately if you'd like.
Yes, please.
Want to speak to the cost of the building?
We're looking at for just the building alone was like 83,000, I think,
Hmm.
something like that. The concrete work and is somewhere close to the same amount, usually. I've got a couple rough bids, just from the specs of the building. Total time you insulate, sheet, finish up the inside. We're hoping to be somewhere around 350 time we're done.
For full project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is what we're hoping for. If, we did come up with, I guess Josh was saying about the parking lot, we need to resurface the parking lot. So it might run a little more. I'm still waiting to see if we can do that in-house. And try to save, costs there. As far as the pavement part. I know the tearing out and stuff we can do ourselves, but we're just not sure if our equipment from Public Works can do a parking lot
Sure.
that size.
We're not here to discuss a budget or approve a budget for this kind of project or anything like that, of course, but just out of curiosity, is there a fiduciary responsibility by the city to make sure that this project stays as low cost as possible? And is there a cutoff point where you're like, oh boy, this is going to be more than we thought, we need to hold off on this project?
Yes, as far as the cost, I mean, that, Matthew's kind of talked about what the budget is. To keep costs down, we are going to do as much as we can in-house. As far as digging for all the sewer line and the storm drain and, leveling the property's pretty level. There's not going to be much to do with where the building is going to go. A little bit, but not much, but our plan is to do it in-house.
Okay.
One of the guys that works in the maintenance, worked for Public Works for 15 or 16 years. And that's all he did is ran the equipment. And so they've offered the equipment to us and he can run it. So we can do most of it in-house.
Okay.
I think what I would add is, that as the city has a local contract review board process for procurements and solicitation, which we would follow through and through. And Mike and his team and the city overall, we're always looking to do things as efficiently and cost effectively as possible. I think one of the exciting things about this project is that we're executing it in good partnership with the Friends of the Library and the library district itself. And so, as you may know, the buildings we have up there are the maintenance shop and the book barn. And so the library is going to partner with the city in funding this project. We partner on a variety of different things when it comes to the library building itself. And so that's a way to help address the financial costs there. The other element of the project that I'm really excited about is our facilities department at the city's somewhat new. And so it's addressing and allowing us to catch up in a couple of different ways on some of the needs that we have. And so, we store equipment up there from time to time. For a while there was a Connex box up there, which is not appropriate. And so this building will allow the library to better function, to better serve the community, and it will allow the facilities department to get stuff out of our alleyway over here that we park next to the building, have it be more secure, and it will improve that site rather than storing things outside or parking vehicles outside. We can put them inside.
Okay. In regards to Commissioner Popovich's comment about hardy plank siding, obviously this is a steel structure that, just looking at what this bid is for the cost and just knowing how these look, you can't just put, it's a steel structure. You can't just put hardy plank on that. Has a cost analysis been done just doing this like a traditional stick built garage, for lack of a better word, shop in comparison to this all steel building? Because this is essentially a pole barn, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's more or less a pole barn, but we've tried to dress it up by doing wainscoting along the bottom, the first 3 feet, and then adding windows to it, and just try to make it look as nice as possible. I did get a bid for just the building, not the concrete. It was a rough bid from Todd Cole Construction, and he said it was somewhere around 150,000-160,000.
Yeah, that's
just for the building.
Yeah, that sounds about
pretty
right.
much twice as much as it is for the steel building.
Okay. Yeah, and Todd's great. So, yeah, that kind of sounds more along the lines of what I thought a traditional stick-built structure, even if it is just a shop with no walls and no stuff like that in it. So, okay, thank you. Any other questions or thoughts or anything from commissioners on video? No? Okay. I think that's all we got. All right. Thank you. All right, so next, those who are opposed to the application, anyone in the room care to testify in opposition to the application? We did receive a,
Yeah, if you want to.
oh, okay. Should I read this? Okay, so we did receive an email earlier today. No, excuse me, February 3rd. So Monday? Yeah, Monday. To whom it may concern, my name is David Saquity. Apologies if I butchered that last name. I own a house at 304 East 7th Place, the Dalles, Oregon 97058. My house is across the street from the proposed new building per applicant number CUP 213-25. I object to the proposal to place a structure of 4,800 feet across the street. I prefer that the property remain a city lot. The lot is helpful for alleviating street parking, especially when the library runs community events. At times, library events congest the street. Also, we have a view of the Columbia River from our house. A large structure will destroy our view and reduce the value of our property. Thanks for your time and consideration, David Saquity. We appreciate that comment for sure. Obviously, now seeing, I'm just going to speak to this. Obviously, now seeing that where the structure is going to be, only 6 parking spaces being removed. That parking lot will still be well used. That's all I have to say about that. So that's great. Any comments on that at all?
I notice there's some space at the east end of the parking lot that wasn't developed. Can they put some additional parking spaces there to make up for the ones that are removed?
Let's have that be a staff question, or perhaps an applicant question. Sorry. Okay.
to it as well. Yeah, there is the ability to add some spaces. One thing to keep in mind actually is we have, minimum and maximum parking spaces. This one's actually getting close to the maximum amount of spaces it can actually have. So the library's parking is going to be based off of the square footage of the library plus the structure itself. They already have, I think it's 72, 73 parking spaces up there. So more spaces could be provided. But I think they are getting pretty close to the max that they can actually have up there. So, but it would be up to the applicant whether or not some more spaces can be provided. We just want to make sure that if that does happen, we just need to make sure that we are within our range.
I'm also looking at Google Maps right now. I think that's a significant rock outcropping right there too.
That's beyond that.
This right here.
Oh,
This.
oh, it does drop off at that point. Okay,
Yeah.
you're right. Okay. Yeah, from this photograph, it looked like it was an extension of the flat area. Okay, I see.
Okay. Any of those who are neither in favor or opposed wish to testify? Just any general comments, thoughts, things like that? Do the commissioners feel they have enough information to make a decision?
Yes.
I as well.
Yes.
Okay. Ready for deliberations then? I am.
Yes.
If so, the public testimony portion of the hearing is now closed. Any comments from the commissioners can be made now. Otherwise, if we are ready to make a motion, we can do so. Looking for that page.
Paula, do we have that other slide that we had with the staff recommendation?
Page 49, 49,
Yeah, my apologies. I can pull
Got
that
it.
up for you. Okay.
I did, yes.
You found it?
Yeah.
Right. I motion that we accept staff recommendation. The Planning Commission move to adopt Resolution PC 625-25, approving conditional use permit 213-25 with the proposed conditions of approval included with this report based upon the findings of fact and conclusions of law set forth in the agenda staff report.
I'll second.
A motion has been made to approve the Plan Commission move to it. Excuse me, a motion has been made to adopt Resolution PC 625-25 and seconded. All in favor of approving Resolution PC 625-25, approving conditional use permit 213-25 with proposed conditions of approval included with this report based upon the findings of fact and the conclusions of law set forth in the agenda staff report, raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. Thank you for that conditional use permit and the testimony. Next, we just need to vote on the resolution. So Resolution PC 625-25, approval of conditional use permit 213-25, City of the Dalles for approval to demolish two structures and construct one structure of 4,800 square feet. The new structure will consolidate the city's maintenance division operations and provide storage for the Dalles-Wasco County Library and Friends of the Dalles Library Book Barn. This project is a government public facility and will require a community facilities overlay. Property is located at 722 Court Street and further described as 1N 13E 3C 3CB tax lot 800. Property is zoned RH high density residential with a neighborhood center overlay. All in favor of approving this resolution, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait.
Aye.
We have to have a
Oh,
motion.
we need a motion to approve that, please.
I motion to accept the resolution PC 625-25 as presented.
I'll second.
A motion was made to accept resolution PC 625-25 as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
That is all ayes and no nays. Thank you. Now it's time for staff comments and project updates, please.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to let everybody know, send out an email to, I think, everybody on the screen here. Let me turn on my video, be a little more appropriate so you can see my shiny face here. All right. So yeah, thank you again for all your work with the housing production strategy. We submitted that yesterday to Department of Land Conservation and Development. It was adopted by City Council January 27th. You saw those minutes today. Those minutes were sent around to you, I think, like right around the holidays. Due to the fact that it was a joint meeting, there was a little bit of a delay on getting those to you. But I just want to thank everybody here for all their hard work on that. And I think now the real work begins, because we've laid out 19 strategies that are all going to be completed or attempted to be completed within the next 8 years. So more conversations to come in front of the Planning Commission as we try to address this housing shortage and housing crisis that we have here in the Columbia Gorge. Staff is currently at this point working on updates to our floodplain ordinance. As I mentioned a while ago, there are some new restrictions that came about from FEMA. So staff is working through those. We hope to get those in front of you here in the springtime for a first review. And we're taking a look at, when we do this adoption, also probably some comprehensive plan amendments that need to be made too in that process. We're also going to be starting here in just a couple weeks, probably a 6 to 8 month process of economic opportunities analysis and an employment buildable lands inventory. So if you probably remember the buildable lands inventory, we did one for the residential side of things when we did our housing needs analysis, but now it's time for the economic opportunities analysis. We've been waiting many, many years to get this thing started again. The process started back in, 18, 19. And then it never made it all the way through the process fully. So we're going to be starting that up again and assembling an advisory committee, and we'll be in front of you with some discussions at some point in these next few months. And then the last thing is, as of this week, we are going to be recruiting actually for a new planning secretary. And actually Paula has been promoted to our planning tech position. So I tried making
Nice.
that a little more of like ominous type of thing for you, but it didn't really work out. But yeah, congrats to Paula for all her hard work. And so soon she will be relieved of her duties, helping out the Planning Commission, at least on this side of things. But we'll be recruiting for a new administrative assistant in our department, and then we will be fully staffed once again. So with that, I can answer any questions if you have any.
Sure. Quick question about the housing needs analysis work that
Yeah.
we'll be doing. I know it was in the email. When are we going to start on that? Like, when does that get approved by the state and then come back here?
So the HPS, no, not the HNA, but
Sorry, HPS, yeah.
Yeah, it's all acronyms. Probably, I mean, there's some strategies that will come back. Some of the strategies that we'll start working on won't necessarily come in from the planning commission. You know, ultimately, there's going to be some strategies in there like exploring, I don't know, tax exemptions for multiple unit properties, exploring new urban renewal areas. Those won't necessarily come in front of the planning commission.
Okay.
But there are some regulatory, zoning change side of things. I'm not sure when the first set of those will be coming in front of the board. I think probably, I mean, some of the things that we're going to start taking a look at here in this first part of the year is we're going to look to assemble a housing group, a group that basically meets. The goal would be to meet a couple times a year, and that's going to be different stakeholders around the community, so we can make sure that we're staying on target with this HPS as we go through over the next 8 years, trying to bring in, you know, just like we did assembling people from all over the community when we did the advisory committee, looking to do kind of the same thing to make sure that everybody's, you know, needs are addressed throughout that process. The other would be taking a look at the pre-approved plans. Is something I'm really interested in. So we're taking a look at that this first go around, and that would be something probably still doesn't have to go in front of the planning commission. I see of the actions in the HPS, probably the first that will come in front of you are probably looking at how to expand multi-units out into basically in all zones, all residential zones in the city. So that was one of the actions, taking a look at the opportunity of expanding triplexes, quadplexes, and cottage clusters into our low density zones.
Okay.
But yes, we do. We are also actually right now, I didn't mention it, we're actually working with an outside consultant on some updates to land division standards. So taking a look at those. And when I was submitting the HPS to the state, actually that is one of the actions that the state highlights for that could be included in an HPS is taking a look at land division standards. We just happen to be doing it outside of the HPS. It's just something that we realized as a section of our code that really needs some modifications to it. So we are in the process of that, and probably bring those in front of you early summer, maybe late spring, early summer for kind of a first read and discussion on that.
Okay.
And yeah, anything else?
Not for me. Any commissioner questions or updates? February 12th, 5:30 at Freebridge, there is a community feedback opportunity for the Federal Street Plaza. I highly recommend attending that. It'd just be great to see some community support for that. We're all looking forward to that happening. I'm looking forward to that happening. So that's what I'd have to say.
What was the date?
February 12th, so
February
Wednesday, 5:30.
Oh, okay.
And there have been a few emails coming around from people on that Federal Street Plaza committee. And then I think also from some city councilors about they have 2 really cool plans that they're going to get some feedback on. And yeah, it's going to be great. That's it. All right, everyone, meeting adjourned. Thank you so much. Bye.
Good night, guys.